Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh here, bringing you an update over the next stimulus package and stimulus checks on Thursday, July 23rd. We have so much to get into. I hope you like the video. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is an article that I saw in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I was scrolling through the Wall Street Journal and I saw the headline that US home sales had risen 20.7% in June. And I was like, that's so interesting because, you know, there's a lot of different things going on right now with the economy and a lot of different stimulus packages that have been pushed out to kind of stabilize things. And so the real estate industry has honestly had like a pretty good month, and they've also had a pretty good year. I mean, you know, back in March and April when things were not going so well, and May, you know, they obviously had slowed down a little bit, but now things are kind of back to where they were, and there's a lot less inventory on the market, but prices are going up, obviously because of supply and demand. And so nobody wants to sell their house right now, because who wants to sell their house in the middle of a pandemic? So people are staying in their homes and not putting them on the market, and therefore the prices are going up for what is out there. Now, I do think that we're going to see a bit of a market correction on that, just because that's not sustainable growth, because it's kind of out of line with like where we're at right now with the finances of people. So it'll be interesting to see. But anyway, back to this article. So the article said that home prices or home sales had risen 20.7% in June. And so I was like, this seems a bit weird. Let me look into this a little more. And obviously, you know, people write newspapers for headlines. So I looked into it and I went to like the National Association of Realtors and looked at the numbers. Well, what I found was basically that the headline was just garbage. And of course the home prices rose in June, because where else are they supposed to go? You know, they kind of hit rock bottom. Or home sales rose in June, because where else were they supposed to go? They hit rock bottom, you know, when people were freaking out, locked in their house for 15 days and then 30 days. So, you know, so I went to the National Association of Realtors, and from February 2020, all 4 regions showed decline in sales. The West had the largest dip of 13.6%, and this is for March 2020. So then I went to April and I was like, all right, let me look at April. So from March 2020, all 4 regions showed double-digit declines in sales. The West had the largest dip of 25%. Well, of course. So then I was like, well, let me look at May. And so I went to May, and it says from April 2020, 3 of the 4 regions showed double-digit declines in sales. The Northeast had the largest dip of 13%. Well, you know, I do math for a living, and I think that all of those add up to over 20.7%. So while I appreciate their catchy headline, it's totally false. This just teaches you to read into things and look at them a little closer. You know, people write headlines so that way we consume whatever they're selling us, and sometimes you gotta look. But either way, I'm glad that the housing market is kind of stabilized. I'm glad people are out there purchasing. The Fed has done a lot of stuff so that you can go purchase a home, and the markets and for loans don't kind of close up and things like that. So if you're in the market for a home right now, may not be the best time to purchase, just because, like I said, the supply is low but demand is high, especially for people who live in larger cities and are trying to get out. We know that's a trend that's going on right now. It's kind of weird because the trend has been for the past several years that people are moving into cities, but now we see the trend of where people are moving from larger cities to smaller cities, or they're moving to the suburbs, or they're just moving to the country altogether. So it's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens with the housing market as we go forward. As you know, the stock market is also surging, but all of that is totally out of line with the American people and the hurt and the pain that people are experiencing financially right now. All right, and then secondly, so we know a lot more about the next stimulus package. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin came out and stated that the next package will not be a bailout for states that have mismanaged their money. Now, I don't think that's incredibly fair because a lot of the states who experienced, large budget deficits are democratically controlled states, so they have a Democratic governor or senators, things like that. And so the Republicans just don't want to bail these states out. Now, when there is a budget deficit, the state leaders have to take a look at, where can we cut funds, whether that's in police, fire department, medical services, public housing, stuff like that. So I really don't think it's fair. I think that we need to take a look at helping the states. And then in addition to that, he also said that there would not be a payroll tax cut. Now, if you watched my earlier videos, you know that this was something very highly debated between the president and the Republicans themselves. They couldn't get together on it, let alone bringing it to the Democrats. So I'm wondering who gave that up. I'm sure it's President Donald Trump, because he was, he said in multiple news interviews that he was not going to sign a next package without a payroll tax cut. Now, we'll see if this holds true, but I think it's going to be really difficult for them to implement a payroll tax cut, because you have every company in America trying to do that at the same time, but then you also have the IRS trying to figure this out at the end of the year, and it just could get really messy. We all know that things at the IRS take a lot of time the way they are, so God help us all if this actually happens and they change their mind and they try to push this through, because it's going to be really messy. All right, and then also the last thing is, on this channel, I've talked about the extended unemployment benefits quite a bit, basically every video. So right now, the way it is that you get your state benefits, and those can range up to about $400 if you live in like a state that has higher living expenses. So New York, DC Metro, San Francisco, like California anywhere, those kinds of places. And then you also have your $600 a week added on benefit, and like this is known as PUA, FPUC. They gave a lot of unemployment benefits to gig workers and 1099 employees, contractors, which had never been done before. And so we got new unemployment data this morning, and the unemployment numbers are going back up. This doesn't look good because this next Saturday is the last week that people can claim the $600 added on benefit, and we all know that just your state benefits are not enough for you to be able to pay your bills and get through. So it's kind of scary to see that more people are signing up for unemployment, and that added on benefit is not going to be there for them. Now, we know that there's a big push in Congress and really from everybody to get something passed quickly so that there's no lapse in benefits. I don't know if that's going to happen. We have heard from several Senate Republicans, and some things have gotten leaked from Senator Mitch McConnell's office, that they're trying to lower the benefits. And so President Donald Trump had a news conference this week, and he stated that they wanted it like 70%. And so people were like, what on earth is 70%? So people were taking the $600, multiplying that by 70%, and I think that's $420. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it would be incredibly funny if the federal government sent out unemployment pay with the number 420. So I don't think that's going to happen, and it's actually kind of been a little bit clarified somewhere in one of these meetings. They came up with a formula, and they're trying to do 70% of what a person would make on their normal salary. Now, this is a problem for two reasons. Number one, who can live on 70% of their salary when we know that living in America, especially the middle class and the lower class, it's very difficult to make ends meet already. Now, number two, that's about $100 a week. So you would go from $600 a week, which would be $2,400 a month in money to pay your bills, down to $400 a month, because you would be getting $100 a week. Now that's a drastic cut, especially with more people signing up on unemployment. So I've watched a lot of other YouTubers, I've read a lot, and my own thoughts as well. We are going to face a mass eviction crisis because the courts are back open, people can be kicked out of their homes, and they will be kicked out of their homes because they cannot afford to pay their rent. I actually got an email this week from my apartment community that said, obviously I haven't delayed paying my rent or anything because I haven't been affected by this crisis, thank God, but we got an email that said, you know, as things are getting back to normal, we just wanted to let our residents know that, you know, you're gonna be held to all the guidelines now. Like, if you have rent that is due, you need to come into the office, set up a payment plan, because we will be moving forward with evictions. And I work in the multifamily, single family home real estate industry, and I know that that's the same for basically every large company that invests in real estate. In addition to the mom and pop people who own, you know, a couple houses here, a couple houses there. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. I know that I always encourage you guys to call your senators, call your representatives, and let them know how you feel about this. I did that this week. Now, whether they heard me or not, I don't know. One of them actually said, I have to go, I'm the only person answering the phone, and hung up, which was incredibly rude, but no worries. I called back to the DC office and it was the same guy. So apparently he is answering the phone for the Atlanta office and the DC office. Why they have no more people in there answering phones, I don't know, not my problem, but I definitely took some more of his time and told him how I felt. I encourage you guys to do the same because this could be quite catastrophic if we have a lapse in benefits and people are not able to keep up with their everyday demands, because we're gonna see, you don't wanna have a mass eviction crisis, because when people are thrown out of their homes, number one, it makes it more difficult to go into somewhere else because the apartment communities run a background check on you, and if they see that eviction on there, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble getting in somewhere else, and you might have to go somewhere, you know, like public housing, which poses an issue in itself. Alright guys, so that wraps us up for today. I hope you liked the video. Like I said, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I have plenty of other videos coming out for you guys soon, and I'm so excited to share. I will see you guys soon.